Hello, I'm Alegria Ribadeneira. I am co-PI for the grant for OER here at Colorado State University in Pueblo. And we are celebrating Open Education Week with featuring some of our OER heroes. So today I have with me Husam Alshareef. Hello, Husam.
Hi,
Thank you
Alegria.
for
How are you?
being here.
Good to
And
have you.
I'm going to ask Husam to tell us a little bit about himself.
Yes, I'm Husam Alshareef. I'm assistant professor in the construction management program. I joined CSU Pueblo back in the August 2019. And before pursuing academia in 2016 as a career, I actually had worked in the construction industry for around 10 years. So I have good practical experience and combine it with the education. I actually feel delighted that always I can contribute what I have learned from the industry into my classes and lectures.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. I love that you have some real life experience to bring
Absolutely.
into the classroom, especially when it comes to building OER. And I know that we're going to be talking about the resource that you built today. But before that, I wanted to ask you, what brought you to OER? What got you started?
So I joined the faculty academy that the university offers every semester. And during the sessions of the faculty academy, I started to hear about the OER. So I was curious and I started asking questions what OER is and how can we get involved in it. And then I actually felt compelled to contribute to the OER in developing or writing actually a book and in a form of an ebook because it actually offers a free resource to students. And actually, I had an experience with the students, one of my students who ended up dropping out of the college because he couldn't afford the school. I heard stories from him that he was sleeping in his car and couldn't afford, and he was a military veteran, ironically, but he couldn't afford it. So to me, the last thing for him to think of and buy is textbook materials for his classes. And it actually broke my heart, and I wanted to help as much as possible, but I couldn't help that much, and he ended up dropping. So people like him really need this kind of resources. So when I heard about the OER, I felt very compelled to write something that I could use in my classes, and this is how it started.
Wow, what an amazing story. I think that if we dig deep, probably a lot of people have found students, a student may have
Yeah.
really inspired them like this student did to you. So thank you for sharing that story. That's beautiful. So you decided then to engage with OER. So can you tell us a little bit about your project and what you did?
Yes. So my project, so the title of the book that I wrote was the construction management from the modernized perspective. And I wanted to use my experience that I had in the industry and write a book on up-to-date technologies, techniques, and skills that typically books don't talk about. So for instance, for instance, in my class, the construction management, I use a required book that teaches the core principles of the construction management and how they typically construction companies and individuals conduct business. But the book doesn't necessarily touch on the approaches and techniques and technology up to date that's in the market right now. And I actually searched a lot of books. They don't go into details too, because a book like the one I wrote required some hands-on experience that you actually used in the industry and used on real-world applications to be able to talk about them and elaborate on them. I didn't find a lot of resources like this, so I decided to write a book on that. And I wrote the book, and I used a platform called Pressbook. I taught myself how to use the platform, and I started writing the book. The book is very good and helpful to students because I'm using it. I'm actually, I haven't used it, but I'm planning to use it as a supplemental resource to the textbook. With the plan is to use it as a required book, or actually the book for the course. But again, because it's an OER book, it's a free resource, open access to students, so then they don't have to pay for it, and it's a free.
Oh, I love it. And I love what you said about how there are some things that are not on typical books
Yeah,
that you could include here, including that real world experience.
absolutely. And it has also case studies. So it's not just also a regular textbook that talks about applications, I think, but also includes case studies on a real world project, and then, you know, with illustrations and elaborations. So I really like the book. It's really helpful, and my hope is to publish it on the CSU's library's website, because everybody then can see it too. Although the press book also allows it as an open source globally, but to be on the university's website, it will be also good, because then it will be in the student's hand.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. And you've already mentioned some of the benefits that you could see for students. You were mentioned that, of course, the free cost is fantastic. The fact that you're putting some information there that typical books don't have, and you are bringing this information to the students. What other benefits do you think that OER, your book, or OER in general, can bring to students?
That's actually a lot of benefits. So I did some research about it before starting the book, during the preliminary phase of, you know, researching on planning and what is actually OER, how people typically use it. And also I thought about it from my perspective as well, especially in our specialty as construction managers. And it's very beneficial because it helps me to have ongoing learning inside the class and also outside the class. And I actually very helpful to the instructor as well, because you can always relate to the ebook as a supplemental, at least in my case now, as a supplemental book, and say, hey, this is the supplemental, refer to this case study, refer to this kind of applications along with the required textbook. And that's during the course or the semester, but then it's ongoing, because students can always use the resource, and if they decide to have internship or they can work in the industry, then they always can reference it.
Right.
So it's an ongoing learning to them and to reference to.
Yeah. You know, I love that you mentioned that, because a lot of students, once they're done with their courses, with those expensive books, they sell them back.
Absolutely.
And they don't have access anymore, right? And with OER, they can continue to have access to that and also share it with others.
Sure.
And if you update your OER, then they have access to that as well. So I love that aspect of it as well.
And just to add something here, so for instance, in my book, I talked about incorporating innovations and technology in the construction, like for instance, robotics in constructions, and how robots can build walls and can deliver materials and things. So then it helps them to kind of trigger this sense of innovations in them. So if they want to work in the field, they always can bring some ideas or actually build on them as well. Some applications that they use without, you know, like a lean practice, how to be lean on the job site and reduce waste. So they can use technology like iPad with applications that without printing hard copies and just wasting them. So a lot of approaches like this actually helps them to push them forward with technology, with innovations. And that's why actually, this is one of the reasons also I wanted to write the book.
Oh, absolutely. And I love how you were talking about how you could update it with the most recent technologies.
Sure.
I imagine in construction management, things are changing so quickly with technology and robotics. I did not even know about that. So I'm going to have to read your book more closely. Now, I can imagine that embarking on a project like this is a lot of work. but it also brings a lot of satisfaction. So I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about what satisfactions did you have while building this book?
So there is a list. I can mention a list of satisfactions actually with that. You know, when you write a book, it's a long process. And especially I'm writing actually another book, and going with publishers, they have their own requirements, and they typically publish books based on their agenda. If the book can be marketable, if they can get profit from it, but then they tend to forget the aspect of the knowledge and information and data that should be communicated and shared with people. And they don't do that, unfortunately. The good thing about fortunately, OER actually offers that. So it allows you to publish books and share your knowledge, share information that you want to share with your audience, with your students. So it facilitates, it makes it easier. And at least that's in my experience. This is one of the satisfaction. And also it gives you more motive. It gives you another motive to hopefully develop on the book, maybe write another book. It just so you can supplement your courses, supplement courses you want to develop perhaps with those material without the pain of going with publishers, because it's very time consuming. And us as faculties, we barely have time, you know, to work on our scholarly work and service. So I think that the great satisfaction that brings to me, it makes it easier.
Yes. Oh, and I agree with that, absolutely. And the fact that you were mentioning that a lot of the publishing houses will only publish books that fit their own agendas or you know, have a big market share, but there's knowledge that needs to be shared with people,
Sure.
even if there are not a large market share, right? In my case, with the heritage languages, we find that a lot, in fact, that publishers, you know, don't want to do that because they won't sell too many books.
Yeah.
But we still have these students to take care of. So I agree. That is a huge, huge satisfaction. Absolutely. Now, of course, not everything is roses in the world. So I know that there are challenges. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you have faced and how did you overcome?
Sure. So some of the challenges, I didn't actually get enough support for basic guidance on how to start, where to start from, the type of platform we should use, how to practice on the platform, where to find this information, and along the way, when you write a book, and I'm sure a lot of people know this, it comes with challenges because you want to fit certain formats. You want to see, you want to get like friendly advices, how this will be displayed to audience, and is it readable? Is it friendly user? All these I didn't get. And also the platform, so I used Pressbook as a platform to write the book. And I didn't know about it. I had to search, and I had to watch YouTube videos and read more about it, read some comments, and see if it's actually a good platform or there's others. Also, I had to pay out of pocket, you know, for the platform, which is fine, but just so I can, you know, I have access, because they give you certain storage, like cloud storage, if you pay for it, because your book can be uploaded then and be public. So this is some of the process I didn't all know about. And I always hesitate to pay for websites or things that I don't know about, because I don't know if they are legitimate or not. So that was the challenge that I went through, and I had to learn all on my own. But when I got through it, it was easy, because it turned out Pressbook is not that challenging. It's actually very friendly user, a platform that anybody can use, and I used it. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you know, and I have to applaud you, because some people get a lot of support and some people don't.
Sure.
And the fact that you persisted and you kept going and you taught yourself, are to me very, very inspirational.
Thank
I
you.
hope though that you get reimbursed by your department for that. So let's talk afterwards on how we can do that, because these are, these are all the little details that most people don't think about
Yeah,
on embarking with OER, and support is a very, very big part of it, right? So finding that support can be a challenge at times, and finding those people who can really guide you through the process can also be a challenge. But I have to applaud you definitely
thank you.
for persisting. That is just so heroic. You are definitely an OER
Thank you. I
hero.
appreciate it. My motive was mainly about just to, help students. It wasn't about the money or anything. And that's the greatest satisfaction that I could have.
I absolutely agree, and that's, I think, why we all do it, definitely. Being able to help those students like the one you mentioned at the beginning of the interview. Well, so you obviously have had a lot of experience now, trial by fire, as they say, with just jumping into it and figuring it out along the way. There's people out there who would love to do something like this. So I was wondering if you could share some recommendations for people who are just getting started with OER.
I would, of course, I'm always available for anyone who need help and support. I'm always there. There's a lot of great resources on the internet, like YouTube videos. They teach you how to use the platform, like for instance, Pressbook, how to use it. Once you have access to the platform, you can start either writing from the platform directly, or you can write using Word documents, and then you can export all your information to the platform. So this is one of the other things. But I would highly recommend developing and writing OER books and articles, because it helps to enhance learning, whether you're in the classroom or outside the classroom, because you always can reference those resources. Students, especially undergraduate students, at least in my case, they don't have this curiosity to go out on the internet and search and read, and they need something kind of ready to them, and just guide them, say, hey, go read this, go read that, give me your feedback, tell me what you have learned, let's discuss that. It makes it easier for them, and I think OER helps in that. And I would highly recommend it. And we, as instructors, as faculties, we all have ideas that I would like to share, but we can't just find the time. And I think OER helps us to do that, especially with the platform like Pressbook, because then you can communicate your ideas easily. You can incorporate that into the platform and share it with the students. And trust me, I'm sure the students will be grateful for that.
Wow, I agree. To see the students have these resources and use them from day one in the class, and being able to reference, as you said, especially when they sometimes might not find the best information online. So to be able to provide that information is incredibly rewarding. Thank you also for pointing out that YouTube is a great resource for learning a lot of those technology bits as well, because sometimes people explain things very well to us in that format, and we can benefit very, very much. Wow, what a journey that you have had, and what an amazing job you have done creating this book for your students that they can reference to way past your classes. So I really want to thank you for your time today on sharing your OER journey with us and inspiring others to follow along with you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Alegria. Thank you.